K-I-S-S, KISS. Forgive me if I offend anybody, but it stands for keep it simple, stupid. Okay? I've been in this thing long enough, and I've watched so many different trends happen that a lot of us, we seem to think that if we add more steps to the sale, we're going to solve the problems that we've been looking at. When in actuality, all you're doing is distracting the people from actually doing what they're supposed to do. There is a simple recipe for this business. Step 1, get the customer's attention. Step 2, identify and create a need, problem, or desire. Step 3, offer the solution. Step 4, close the sale. Step 5, create a wow factor. It does not have to get any more complicated than that. And I can tell you, if you are trying to create more steps to the process, instead of looking at why those 5 things aren't happening, then you're missing the real solution. That's the solution. It requires training. When you start adding forms, when you start adding steps to the sale, when you start adding more details to the sale, you're just creating distractions and you're taking the focus off what's supposed to really happen. So ask yourself, how many forms are you creating? All right, whether it's from a phone call. I mean, if you set your BDC department up and they've got these phone calls, all right, and they're supposed to be taking this stuff up and they've got a table full of different forms to handle for different rebuttals, it becomes a distraction. And you're not training the salespeople or the people that are supposed to be doing the job on how to actually handle any rebuttal or anything that comes upon it, because they're depending on a form. When you put more forms in place, you're distracting yourself because now you've got more things that you have to track. Okay? It's not that complicated. Keep it simple. Pay attention to what the real problem is and discover the real solution. Steps to the sale and adding more things to the process doesn't solve anything. It just becomes a distraction. I will say this. In the areas of compliance, I get it. You kind of have to, right? Because compliance laws are changing constantly and you really do have to stay ahead of the times and you got to make sure that you're covered. So there may be forms and there may be other added processes to stay compliant that you have to add to your floor. And for that, yes, I agree 100%. But if you're adding steps to your trade-in value process, if you're adding steps to the sale, if you're adding more forms to people just because they're missing something, then what I can tell you is you're not leading your team. You're creating more of a distraction from what's supposed to really be happening. So as the saying goes, the K-I-S-S, keep it simple, stupid. Don't overcomplicate things. When you overcomplicate things, you're distracting the people and you're not really adding steps that add the wow factor. The only time any step should be added to that simple basic recipe is a step that adds to your wow factor. So really ask yourself, do salespeople, when they're sitting at their desk, do they have to pull out that drawer and do they have a file long of all these different types of forms that aren't necessary? Okay, I'm going to reference Bruce Lee, okay? Bruce Lee became famous because he discovered a martial arts, okay, called Jeet Kune Do. And he became famous because he basically took away all the fluff. His reference was, imagine a big piece of clay. Until you start removing all of the unneeded pieces and discover that you actually have a piece of art behind all that unnecessary stuff, then you really discover you've got something special. Eliminate all of that fluff and actually sit to the basics. Stick to something that's creative. Stick to something that's inviting. Stick to something that you got some passion behind. Stick to something that has influence on other people in a positive way. And discover the best way to achieve a wow factor. Don't pay attention to all that stuff that complicates things and distract the salespeople from doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's just making more work for you, more work for them, and it's not paying attention to the customer. I am a big believer that there are behavior habits that we create that will either send us down one path or send us down another path. If what you're creating is sending down to a negative path, then go back to where it started and figure out what the problem is. Because what you think is the solution isn't always the solution. In most cases, the basic recipe needs more attention. Those 5 things: get the customer's attention, identify and create a need, problem, or desire, offer the solution, close the sale, create the wow factor. If those 5 steps are not dissected as to what the problem is and all you're doing is creating more steps, chances are you're ignoring the real problem. So look at your processes and ask, have you really dissected it enough, and what you think is the solution, is it really the solution? Maybe more training is required. Okay? Thank you.